Hey guys, welcome back to Deconstructing Damsels with your host Jessica Hannon. And this is a very special episode. This episode will discuss Prem Numbers with Courtney from Cult of Domesticity, and it's part 1 of 2. Yes, you guys get your first two-parter in this podcast because there were 5 stories and there was a lot to say. So, I hope you guys enjoy it. I would maybe not have little kids around if I was advising, because sometimes it goes borderline and I want to make sure everyone's safe in the car. And I also wanted to thank my patrons, Carrie and Dee. You guys are helping so much by paying for this and contributing, because it actually pays for us to get books like Prem Numbers. I actually got this about 5 months ago, and then all the hoopla happened, so we couldn't do this, but that definitely helped pay for it, and it helps pay for the hosting. So, thanks guys, and I hope you enjoy the show, because we had fun recording. So, we can finally do this.
Yay! It's only taken since March.
I know, right? It's like, reading the wrong book didn't help on my part. My bad.
Then COVID didn't help.
Yeah, and then the whole miscarriage break didn't help either. So it's like, it's been a couple months, only 3 months. That's all.
It's fine. The weather has severely changed in the time. It's now very hot here, which is perfect for this book because you're already going to get very, very hot in a different kind of variety.
Yes. So I looked up, and so we're discussing. Okay, so first of all, hold on. You are.
Oh, hi. I'm Courtney from the Cult of Domesticity. It's a history and true crime podcast. Sorry, we've been talking for 2 hours about life and things and catching up, which beats last time, which we talked for 5 hours, then realized we didn't read the same books.
This is what ADHD people do when they don't really have a guiding point of movement.
And COVID, so we both don't have schedules right now, so...
Exactly! And we've just been kind of staring at 2 different sets of walls for a very long time and reading.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of reading.
Oh, we've already discussed all the books we've been reading.
Oh no, I had don't forget my last episode. I had an entire thing of everything I read, and I still forgot half the books. And I already had 15 books on the list.
I have read over 100 books in quarantine, guys.
Wow. I couldn't do that. Even with my reading, I couldn't. It would interrupt my time of watching 90 Day Fiancé, so I can't take that away. Because I don't get it over here, because in Germany, obviously, we can't get the current seasons. Mm-hmm. But God bless YouTube.
Oh, yes.
So I've been watching a lot of it on YouTube lately. And I'm I can just skip the parts I don't like, and I can just go, whoop, back, whoop, bye, whoop, bye. That's what I've been doing.
You're watching 90 Day Fiancé and reading romance novels. I'm making bread and reading romance novels.
Oh, and animal videos. I've been watching a lot of animal videos on YouTube too.
How do you not? If you're sad, watch videos of puppies.
Well, not even just that. I watch all the rescue videos, and I've discovered that there's a couple that are really great. There's one called Animal Safeguard, which is in Southeast Asia, and he rescues little puppies. Yeah, it's I'll have to find the link and put it in the show notes. And also there's one in Romania, and then there's one in Serbia.
Those were not where I was expecting.
Right, and then of course there's ones in LA because it's LA. But the ones that I'm finding around the world are way more interesting to me, because it's
Secret Mission.
Yeah, and then and then they get adopted around the world. A lot of the animals get adopted around the world. The ones from Romania and Serbia can go all the way to Canada or the US or Norway. And of course there's Taki Shelter, which is the Greek place, and there's just all these great videos watching these animals, and I'm just it makes me happy to watch them be happy.
You gotta watch Selma Hayek. She loves adopting animals, and her husband told her she cannot adopt anymore because they have so many. And there's an interview she does where she's talking about how it's like she picks them up when she's filming, like, so she'll take them back to Mexico with her. And she found this dog. So she decided to pretend, instead of telling her husband she adopted a dog, that she was having an affair. And he goes, and she has like he's like, I have something to tell you. He goes, you didn't find another dog, did you? And she just broke. She couldn't do it. She's like, yeah.
But she can't help it because they need help and they need love and they need attention, and you can just
she has like
that.
20 animals. It's like a lot. Like, I get her husband. Like, that's, and like, it's not just dogs. It's like dogs, cat. Like, you'll have to send it to you, but it's funny because they're like, it's a motley crew of animals that she has, and I get her husband being like,
oh, it's like is it the Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare. Have you read that?
no.
Okay, so it's set in the Girl Meets Duke world, and in that Penelope, she has like a whole menagerie of animals, and like from random places. Like one of the birds was like a bird from a brothel, so like inappropriate
Obviously.
things will be used. Yeah, and then there's like I think there's like some weird like three-legged animals and like an otter and all these things that like she's found along
Why
the way.
not?
And then she's got like the goat, and the goat is pregnant, and like there's a whole scene with like the three high class guys are like helping this goat deliver the baby. And so you gotta read it. Like, if you don't read any other book in that series, you have to read that one book because it is fantastic. The other book in the series has the hero that does nothing but curse and Shakespearean insults.
I love this already.
Yeah, that's the Duchess deal. And then there's the Wallflower Wager. There's another one in the series. I can't remember the name of it. It's about a woman that owns a clock setting business, and so she goes around and she like sets all the clocks for the people. Oh no, that's the governess game, I think is what it's called. Yeah. And then the bride bet was been moved back to the next year because Tessa Dare had some issues, and so they've moved it back a little bit on the coming out day. But like the Wallflower Wager is amazing.
I'm looking it up on Goodreads because that's how I track everything.
Yeah, it's like it's fantastic. It made me laugh so hard.
I always love that. Oh wait, the Wallflower Wager. I'll add it to my currently reading because that's how I track books that I'm actually going to read. I just have to sit down and do it because if you put it in your want to read, you lose it forever.
Oh yeah,
because there's let's see how many. My want to read has 2,193 books. I don't have a problem.
I have a lot of books in mine, but the problem is I kind of have them in there because I forget to take them out when I read them. I forget to rate them, and so they keep them in there. And I'm like, wait, I read that like a year and a half. Oh,
it's a Kindle.
But then I start reading it again. Yeah, I've got the Kindle app, but the problem is I forget to do that because I move on to the next book because I get bored, and that 3 minutes that I have something else to do. So my hyper focus says, no, get a new book. So I
don't scroll all the way to the end to rate it. Yeah. Whereas I'm like, scroll all the way to the end. Let's read the like little excerpts at the end and see if there's another one you want to read, even though there's 30 other ones you've taken from the library. You know.
I buy a lot of books as the free books.
Yes.
Because like I learned so many new authors that way. Like I found so many, or I would get like the really good deals, like Fated Mates and Learning the Tropes were talking about no, not Fated Mates. I think it was Heaving Bosoms talked about The Prince of Broadway by Joanna Shoup. I think that's how you say her name. And she's like, I loved it, and I was like, damn, I should have been writing about that, but I forgot I read it. I literally forgot I read it. I was like, I read it at the beginning of quarantine, and I'm like, right, I remember that pink book cover. And then I was like, oh yeah, I read that. Yeah. So I listened to episodes of a book I read, and they had to remind me I read it.
Yeah, I'm probably at that point right now.
Yeah, I'm like, oh right, covers are a thing. That's the only way I can remember anything. And when they change the covers, I'm like, don't do that.
I will say the collection we read, I loved the cover. I didn't know exactly what I was getting into, but what is it? Prem Numbers, like it has like fire and then just like silhouettes, and I was like, I kind of it's different. It's different. Yeah. I like that too, because like she's got a lot of Indian people, and you don't really see a lot of stock photography for Indian characters at all. Yeah, and it's like simple, because sometimes a lot of the simple ones are like some jewelry or like a guy's abs.
Oh God, the jewelry is like a Cat Martin, like she
Mhm.
was really famous for. Like that, all hers look like that, and you were just like, I'm not.
I'm not
But what does it
intrigued.
tell me? What does it tell me? Unless they're using these for anal beads, what are you telling me about this?
I like it when I read one and there was like pearls on the cover, and the main female protagonist was a Southern belle, so it's like it kind of made sense like to have the pearls, like, and it was kind of about like her rebelling against like her hair, like her upbringing. So like pearls made sense once you read it, but like right off the bat, if I just, it's like
Was was that like Susan Elizabeth Phillips? Ain't she sweet?
no, it's
Have you,
the
okay.
Infidelity series.
Oh, okay.
The first one, I it I found it on Radish, and then I got really hooked. And let me see. And then I discovered I had the first book for some reason. It's a Aletha Romic.
I don't know.
It's a, yeah, it's an infidelity series. There's 5 of them in it. The first one is Betrayal, but here, wait, I'll pull it up. Let me show you the. Oh, well, I have to fix it because I've read them all. So now Kindle is being a bitch. Oh
You
wait, no.
you have to love Kindle and all its gory, not glory.
Just gonna. There we go. No. No. Oh wait. There we go. So it's
That
it
makes
kind
sense.
of
Yeah.
makes sense. It has like, it's very simple, but like you get like it's gonna be like there's gonna be like some high class. It's gonna be dark, but
It reminds me of Sylvia Day is an author that had that when she was doing a lot of the books for I think it was Cosmo, and they had like the summer reads or whatever.
mhm.
And so you'd see those a lot. Um, yeah, you would see those, and you're just like, it's like a pair of shoes or something, and I'm like, it's a pair of Louis Vuittons, but what does that tell me? So at least hers tell you something.
Like when you
Or
read it, you're
dog
like,
tags, weird.
yeah, it'll be like, oh, okay, like the first bit, like you kind of figure out, you're like, oh, okay, she's a Southern belle, like the it makes sense, and then there's like control issues, so the pearls are like kind of more of a choker or chain,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, you're like, okay, that
yeah.
makes sense. But
Yeah, and there was like a little bit underneath it, so there's like a little tagline. So I'm like, if you're gonna do simple, you got to get a good tagline, because otherwise, people are gonna look at it and just glaze over and move to the next one.
yes, I agree because it's like some of the covers just
Some
their
of the covers, I
choices.
laugh at them a lot. I I did show
I try
you,
not to because it's like I try not to because it's like,
someone put a lot of
but,
work into that.
but sometimes they just don't convey anything that they need to convey.
Unlike the Laura Leigh ones that I showed you, the
Oh
Breed
yeah,
series with the
yeah, yeah,
lion.
yeah. Which we were totally talking about because, dear listeners, I read like 10 of those books when it was still being printed on like the original press. So because before Berkeley bought it, it was owned by another press, one of those other small
Oh,
presses
okay.
in like the early 2000s and late and mid 2000s. So like I remember buying those books, like buying the actual physical book was very expensive because it was like print on demand basically.
No.
And so I'd reading them and I like, so I know the ones you're talking about. I preferred the Berkeley ones over the other ones because I was like, editors.
Editors are nice. This is why you pay more for books, guys. And
Exactly.
don't be that person when you get a book for free and then complain because the editing's not good. Because you got that for free. Sorry, that's
Exactly.
my biggest pet peeve when you read, like, you get the free books or whatever, and then you read the reviews and someone's like, they needed an editor. I'm like, maybe this is their first book. Maybe they don't have money for an editor. Maybe this is their side hustle. Don't judge them. They wrote a book, and guess what? You still read it. So that's on you.
And also, like, okay, if you think they need an editor, then why don't you volunteer your time to like do a basic line edit?
Yeah.
And then you can be listed as their editor on that book when they do the second copy, and then you got something on your resume.
Well, we're really antagonistic towards this, but it's like my biggest pet peeve
No, but
is
I
when
get
people do
it.
that. Because I,
It's a thing. I know because like there's some books that I just put down because they're free and they need an editor so bad. I'm just like, okay, I'm like 50% done with this book and I can't do anymore. It has to go away because I'm having some Cassandra Clare issues and I need to make them go away.
Oh, you mean the fact that she had the brother sister issue, but that became a non-issue? That kind of issue?
No, more like the fact that like she basically filed off her fan fiction and called it Mortal Instruments.
It's fine. It's fine.
And like there was like editing issues because like I would read it and I'd go, but Clary was doing this like 3 pages ago, but yet she's doing this on. But she said she couldn't do that 3 pages ago, but now she's saying she's been doing it for years. This makes me sad as a reader because I'm like, I don't like.
My brain hurts.
Well, and like my whole point of this podcast was about like, you know, how women are awesome and how their character arcs, you know, go through the books and stuff like that. And I'm just like, but that means there's no character arc, right?
Yeah, and that one a bit.
Yeah, because I read it, like I reviewed it years ago on a Goodreads account I don't even use anymore because I lost the account information or whatever. And so, but I still get like pings that tell me that I'm still getting like comments about it from like, you know, 14 years ago or whatever it was made. And basically, I just called it out on a lot of stuff. I'm trying not to be very mean about Cassie Clare because I know she has fans, but she's still Cassie Clare to me.
Yeah, and like it's also, I'm sure she's grown now. I'm sure we hope. we want. It's been years, but yeah, it's sometimes you just can't. But should we actually?
Yeah.
Should we talk about the book? I mean, we've already got another 20 minutes of.
Yeah, it's true. But like, I mean, it kind of relates a little bit because like Prem Numbers has got such a variety.
Yes.
Of like topics and everything else in it. Like it's not just one specific thing, right? Like, there's like multiple genres from like science fiction to like political to like a triad to you know, other ones in between. So it makes sense that like, you know, everything kind of relates back. The paranormal sci-fi fantasy one kind of relates to the Laura one a little bit because of the dangers and the mating.
There's no Barb though.
No, thank God.
You'll have to read the books to figure out what we're talking about.
But we're referring to Laura Lee.
Laura Lee, not in this one. Not in this one. There's no Barbs in this one.
Just to clarify, we're talking about Laura Lee right now. But yeah, like it's a wide variety, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna say the name wrong. I think it's Suleikha Snyder. I am so sorry. I know I follow you on Twitter, and I apologize. Like you told me how to say it, but my brain just still doesn't. I'm awful with names. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that straight up front because I'm pretty sure I just said Joanna's name wrong too. So if that helps.
I'm used to people saying my last name wrong. I get it.
Yeah, your last name is very distinct.
Yeah, it's Slovenian, and most people try to make it more Slavic than it sounds. But it is what it is. My poor brother's wife. It's double M. It's double M. It's
oh man.
Oh, it's I had friends for years who didn't know how to say my last name, so I get it. It sucks. But should we go?
I can understand that one too because my husband took my name in part because it's easier for me with paperwork, but also because I can say my name.
Fair.
Yeah. Like his last name is not difficult, but it's just like it's got the umlaut and all, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm never gonna remember the umlaut.
There's gonna be so many characters in there and accents and tildes and all that.
I'm just gonna make it easier. Okay, so
do we want to go by story?
Yeah, I think we can go by story because I don't know if I put my story notes in order because I was just like making them.
I just have my Kindle highlights, so.
Yeah, I have like I put mine in like an actual like document.
Oh, you're fancy.
Oh no, it's because that's the only way I can learn. It's like
I might have done that. And I've just forgotten.
I only know because I know me. I know that In Her Service is the first one. Yes.
Yes, I love that one. It's
that
such
one was
a good one.
Oh my god, that one was like one of my favorites in this entire series. Like I wanted to like cuddle that story so much because it was so damn good. Like it was the utopian world in so many ways that I was just like, yes, please take, yes, give.
Yeah. Do you want to do a summary of it? Oh, I did do it. There we go.
Okay, so like I actually didn't summarize this because I'm awful about that. But basically, it's the vice president Letty, who is she's in like they're going into their like end of their first term or their first like term, and then they're
Yeah.
kind of like going to the second term. So she's got to deal with like the repercussions of like running again. And she's the vice president, black woman, and she is the vice president to a white woman as the president. So it's like this huge utopian world that is like anti-world on fire right now. And I want to say she wrote it out like right after 2016, I think is what she said. So it was, I think it was like in there in the I think I read that somewhere. It was kind of like her utopian world of you know what happens.
2019 actually.
Oh wow, I thought it was earlier than that. So like I loved this story, and I like the fact that she's in her 50s, like she's older.
Yeah,
she's not like 30 and a vice president. She's like put a lot of time and effort into building up this reputation that she's got. Like I appreciate the fact that she was, and she had like a really strong first marriage too. Yeah. So like it doesn't like make it go down. She doesn't degrade the marriage at all. She loved her husband deeply, and that never changes, and that's such a strange thing to find on things now.
Yeah, so she was first a lawyer and a community organizer, 2 terms as a congresswoman, Speaker of the House in her 3rd term. It says she fought for education, equality, prison reform, and then gets asked to be the running mate. So, like, it's impressive, and she's like the first black woman as a vice VP.
Yep.
Also, it's a Secret Service kind of thing, and he's Muslim. I know that. I can't forget.
And he's Indian. I think he's
Indian.
as well.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's such a good, he's an Indian American Muslim. I only know because it says in my notes in front of me.
So it's like, and it's like not like, oh, they met right away and fell in love. Like he talks, like there's a bit where it talks about how hard he worked to get to the other side of the door. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so cute.
And he's younger. He's like quite a bit younger too.
He's like in his 30s, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, get it, girl, get it.
Because like she's near the same age as his mom, and like that creates a little bit of an issue too. But like, it's not a bad issue. It's just like a family. Like, okay, this is a little bit odd, but I really enjoyed the way that worked. Right. I enjoyed the whole setting that she gave the story. It feels realistic somehow too. Like her internal conflict really worked to me.
Yes. And you could see he was working really hard to like woo her, but without being like openly wooing her, because he was really intrigued by her brains and loved her. Like he loved her for who she was, not like, oh, I'm going to take care of you. And you know, you see all of like the conflicts of it going public and what you're going to do, because think about it, then it would be your vice president is a black woman married to a Muslim man in America. So like,
and he's Indian, so
he's Indian too. Yeah, it's like, but
Desi, and so there's a lot of many comments about Desi men, especially not happy.
Yeah, and they do get married, and like they still have this like wonderful relationship, and you know, it's pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie.
It was really good. Like their relationship was, their heat together was amazing, I thought, because it felt like they respected each other as partners, but also as people, like inside and outside the relationship. And you read it every time that like he would come in and he would like have her some water by the bed, or, you know, he would like, you know, rub her feet or whatever whatever she needed to make her feel centered, because that made their love life much better.
Yeah. And like even though he can't be like her secret agent anymore when they get married, he still like takes charge and like makes sure everything's good, and he just wants to make sure she's safe. And I'm like, oh, it's
there. It was such a good scene. And like, there's one scene where they talk about, I think it's near the end, and he's like, Letty grins, stopping in the middle of removing the enormous chandelier earrings loaned to her by Cartier. You stare at me like you're making love. You know that, right? Because I am making love to you, he confesses without hesitation, with every look, every breath, every cell in my body. That just gives me like goosebumps.
I know.
Because it's so like genuine. Like you feel it from him and her, and the way she's written these characters are so strong. Like they're so well developed.
Yeah, and even though it's not very long, you get this such like for all of them, you get this deep sense of everyone's motivations, their struggles. It's like
Mhm.
I've read longer books where there's less development and you're still sitting there being like, I don't understand why they're doing this. And especially in this one, you understand both their hesitations. You understand like what it's going to take to like for them to get over it. And then when they do the time jump, you're just like, awesome. I get it. Like they're still working on it. They're still being strong and they talk about it. And you can like really, really see like they grew together in the time
Mhm.
jump, like as a couple, as people, and I believe they end it like that like someday soon she's going to announce her president candidacy for president. She's going to win. She's going to thrive, and so will the nation. And it's just like, and it, but because one of the key lessons she's learned from the past 4 years from this man in her arms is that giving yourself to a cause means that means everything to you is nothing short of an act of love. And you're just like, mm,
I know. Like this is why I love the author so much. She wrote a short story called Tikka Chance on Me, as in, chicken tikka masala. She's like she embraces her Indian identity, and I appreciate that because it feels authentic. It's not like diversity writing, like writing to
yes,
fit to hit that tick mark. Like everything she writes, you can see where her different cultural and like her embracing of it, and her sometimes her
it's the understanding. It's that
yeah,
understanding you don't get unless you're in that culture, like you grew up in it. And it's comforting because we're two white women. Like,
right, exactly.
I had never been to an Indian wedding until a couple of years ago, like, or a Muslim wedding. But I like knowing people I know, it's just like it feels natural. It doesn't feel forced. There's no stereotyping. It's just two people that happen to be of different cultures, which isn't a strange relationship, but we don't get it very often.
And we don't
And
get it authentically very often.
done this well because
Yes.
that's the thing is all of these are done so well that like even if they're of different ethnicities or different species of the later one, you feel that
Yep.
authentic where it's like these are two well developed people and nothing seems forced, which let's not lie, we've all read some of those romances where you're like either the character development's forced or like if they are of different races it feels forced.
Yeah.
Like there's always like they always it like sometimes there's like that unnatural of like oh your friend it's like this it seems like he's like yeah there was some issue but like he brought like there was cultural things brought in that he's like what is it Muhammad's wife was older than him and like
Hmm.
stuff that if you weren't part of that culture like that quick remark or something like that would have gone completely different, like the way it was written.
And the fact that like in that comment, like was his mom understood right away and was like, okay, I got it. Like there was no, da 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 da. Like you see, like on like I said, I watched 90 Day Fiance. I watch it for the train wreck because I am an immigrant. Like now, I'm
Yeah.
an immigrant in another country. I'm a white immigrant, so I have a lot more status, ability, and access than someone else would, because that's a whole thing that's been going on in Germany. Conversations
Mhm.
going on right now, but it's different when you're in that space and when you're from a different cultural background and trying to understand another one. Again, like you know Germany and the US are Western countries, but they have very different cultural values and certain things in certain ways. And so it's very interesting to see how that works within two two different cultures, but two different age gaps as well.
Yes.
Like it's a huge generational thing and it's a huge other thing, but it works really well, I think. I think she did a really good job of balancing that community that they made within themselves, even though they're part of larger communities.
Yeah, and I like that it was the man being younger than the woman for once. It
Mm-hmm.
was a nice change because it's always the girl's like 25 and the guy's like 40, and I'm like, I'm in my late 20s. I don't know. I don't know if I believe this. I
Exactly.
mean, it'd
And
be nice, but
it's
I
always
don't
like
know if I believe it.
well, it's always an ingenue 25-year-old too. It's never like someone that's like struggled really with her life. Like it's always like the bright and pricky with the high breast and the nipped in waist and the
Not the one who just sits in her apartment alone eating a Domino's pizza. Damn it! I knew I was missing something.
Well, you'd have to be able to go out in your state, so there is that yet right now.
I'll sit on my front porch and eat the pizza. Does that count? Like people can
Totally.
see me.
Totally. You have a porch, you can sit there, you can eat your pizza, and you can just watch these people walk their dogs as you're just like, not going to be talking to these people. Yeah.
I don't have a porch. It would just be like opening the front door and it's the street, but that's fine. It's fine.
It still works as a front porch.
Yeah.
You can put your chair in front of the door. So you put it in the door space, and then you can have full conversation.
I can throw pizza at the guys. That how
Lure them in with like a fishing line and go. Be like an episode of Animal Crossing when you get the fish.
Yeah, there we go. Someone please write this romance novel now about my life that's not happening. Love in the time of quarantine.
Well, there are quarantine romances being written right now and being published, so
I have a friend who started dating during quarantine, so I know a couple couples that have started because of quarantine. And I'm just like, I'm not getting COVID. I don't trust you.
Exactly.
I don't see people every day anymore. That guy could abduct me. I don't know.
No park visitings for you.
Nope.
No meeting in like Walmart's parking lot because it's an open space.
Would meet Walmart. That would definitely get me murdered. They could buy all the supplies there.
To be fair, this relates to her because in her book Tika Chance on Me, there is a whole sexy scene in the Walmart parking lot.
Has she been to a Walmart? Have you seen
yes,
a Walmart?
Yes, she's from the Midwest. Yes.
It must be a nice Walmart parking lot because I mean sometimes there are nicer.
That's the whole point. It's not a nice Walmart.
Well, as long as it's okay, I'm gonna have to read this now.
It's Tika Chance on Me. I've been praising it for like 2.5 years, 2 years now, something like that. Yeah.
The Walmart parking lot near me. No, thank you.
It's later in the book. She's so lovely. It's Lovely's cousin Pinky that they reference in that story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. That's my favorite one. I'm not gonna lie, the last one's my favorite one. But
see, my favorite one is probably In Her Service or well, I have 3. In Her Service, Have a Little Face, and the X-Men one.
We can rank them at the end. We'll list our favorite. Okay.
All right. So I don't know which one is the next one in the order of the book because I just kind of wrote my notes in the way that I wanted.
The pick me up.
Yeah. Did you like this one?
I actually kind of did. I should mention I read all of these while doing my laundry at a laundromat. So like in between, I'm like in my car or just sitting in the laundromat. So I just want people to picture that. Like this white girl waiting for her work shirts to be washed. Reading this. I should have mentioned that earlier, but that's the truth. Like I legitimately read all of these when I did laundry. I had time.
I can understand that one. This is like I didn't like the romance, but I liked the characters. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I thought they were good characters. So there's Alejandra and Khan.
Yep.
And they meet in a bar.
A dive bar. Like
a dive bar. Basically, it is boy meets girl. Guy's drinking with his friend. Basically, she's drinking there, like pity drinking, I think. Mm-hmm. And then she makes a comment. They kind of hook up in the alley. They go back to his place and hook up. And
then become friends.
Yeah. It's just like, she just needed a quick, like, lay. And, She
needed an endorphin run.
Yeah. I did, like, his friend was teasing him about, like, basically hooking up. And then she goes, I'm pretty sure he has plenty of hot air left to blow up his date. And she's like sitting at the bar near them and just like blurts it out. And I was like, yes.
That's what I love about that's what I love about Snyder's writing. She does such a good job of like giving her character such like distinct voice, because like Alejandra is nothing like Letty, and it's nothing like Lovely. Like completely different backgrounds, completely different everything, but it really works, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Alejandra as a character. I thought she was really I could understand her kind of worn downness sometimes.
Yeah.
Like her feeling like completely like she was missing herself somehow.
She's tired. She's done with the world. She just needs some drinks, some excitement, some dick.
Which, hallelujah, so many of us do.
She got it.
Exactly.
So, but it's just so I mean, and their banter, I really like their banter. I thought they had really good back and forth banter, because like she embarrasses herself with that, and then she's like, I'm gonna go. I've made my situation worse. And and I forget. Yeah, it's just
it's clearly like a dive bar that they go to, like it's a community dive bar.
Yeah, it's not like the locals.
It's like again, Take a Chance on Me. There's a dive bar mentioned, or not a dive bar in there, but there's that idea of some of that. And that Pinky's family owns an Indian restaurant in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
In small town Indiana. And so, but you get the same feeling of the dive bar being where you can kind of go get and see the people you don't necessarily want to be around, the unsavory types. But this doesn't feel like that kind of a dive bar.
Yeah.
It's somewhere between like Cheers and a dive bar.
I think it's like it's that local bar. It's not pretentious. Like you can go there and get like a $3 beer and just like sit at the bar. The bartender knows you because you probably went to high school with him. And there's some pool tables, and nobody will really bother you. But if you want to talk to people, you know everyone in there, so you can make small talk. Or if you don't want to make small talk, you don't make small talk. Everybody knows that bar.
Exactly. Like it's my mama she used to go to a dive bar, like Southern dive bar. So like the movie Roadhouse,
mm-hmm.
but it's basically her kind of like bars in the late 80s. Like it was the same bar. It's kind of like gotten a lot nicer. It had gotten a lot nicer, but the chicken wire was removed anyway. So, but like it doesn't feel like that kind of a dive bar, which is really nice. You know, it feels like
kind of like a mix of a pub and like a local like hangout.
And like visually, for whatever reason, I was seeing it as like there was a couple of episodes of Kitchen Nightmares where like they went to these I want to say like it was a Mexican bar, I think, mm-hmm. and it was like kind of like that dark wood and all that darkness. But then for some reason, I kept seeing like also the clocks in like the movie Cocktail, you know, like those stupid weird like Bud Light type, mm-hmm. you know, the 19 like I saw those on the wall as well. And that's how I was imagining the atmosphere in this bar.
It reminds me of this bar that we would go to after work in Cincy, and it's like, I mean, we'd always be there at like midnight, 11:30 midnight, because when we got off, the bar and our work closed. But it's just there's some booths, and then there's a dark bar, and that's like, and some games and stuff, and there's like a bunch of liquor and beer paraphernalia, and it's like it is what it is. There's some basic bar food, and that's what you got. Yeah, it's not trying to be anything else, but you can go there and get like reasonably priced drinks and craft beer. And like you're like whatever you need, like it's that kind of bar.
It's very I'm trying to think of the word. It's like, did you ever watch the show Bar Rescue?
I love that show. That guy's so angry.
Yeah.
All the time.
So I was imagining like those dive bars and that too, like a lot of that atmosphere, like, you know, the ones when they went to, I think they went to like Tennessee, and it was like this like long room that was basically like supposed to be a bar or whatever. So I was imagining that with like, you know, the smoky density and, you know, like, so for whatever reason I was saying Bar Rescue in my head.
What did you think about like their sex scenes?
I thought they were hot, but I wasn't really interested in the like romance of the story, so I didn't really note that much about it.
It was like a good one night stand kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like if the book was long, like if it was a book, you would expect them to meet up later. Like they had a really good one night fuck, and then they're like, oh my God.
Right. But
But
they
I
also,
mean,
but you also got to
it
when
was
they were
hot.
friends afterwards. Like they
Yeah.
went from being like fuck, like one night stand fuck buddy to like a friend without the fucking involved.
Yeah. It was just like you needed a fuck. I mean, granted, like they
Literally,
like
they said you need a fuck. So
yeah, which I kind of liked that that was that. It wasn't like we're gonna fall in love. It's like, sometimes you just need a dick. I can be that dick, and I'm a good person. And
and
I mean,
sometimes you need a therapist, and I can be that person too. While I've got my dick in you.
yeah, because I mean, that was the funny part. They're like mid fucking and like having this conversation, and I'm just like,
But
I
like
did like,
they also knew each other before a little bit from being in the same dive bar, so there was that little bit
yeah,
of connection too.
yeah, and she's like, he kind of was giving her outs, and she says, "Take me home," and I was like, I love that agency and consent. Like, hey, if you were gonna do this, let's do this, and they go to back to his place, and he I just love the while he's like pounding into it, he goes, "That's it. That's it. That's a love. Just let it happen." Because basically she's so in her head, he's just like, "Let's go. Just let it go. Let it go."
Like stop thinking and just feel and get the moment you need to be better.
And they had like 2 rounds, I think. And
Yeah,
I'm like, the first time she needed to relax, the second time she was ready. Like,
she knew what to expect, so she was ready to go.
yeah. And I thought that's what I liked. It was shorter than the other one because there wasn't as much development. It was kind of just like,
A
like we've been
quick,
saying, a
yeah.
quick, a quick, dirty one kind of fuck with 2 good characters.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, he's a paramedic because he didn't want to go to school for all the doctoring.
Which I can understand. I wanted to be a vet tech because I didn't want to go to school for all the vet stuff.
Yeah, I'm not judging him. It's a good job.
I agree.
Still a lot of schooling, but a lot less than being a doctor.
Yes.
Do you have anything else for that one? Do you think?
I don't think so because that was I think that was maybe the shortest one in the series. I
Yeah,
think that was one of the shortest ones. Yeah.
it packed a punch, but it was short.
Yeah. Which is like I said, she's really the author is really good. Suleikha, Suleikha, Suleikha. She's really good at making you feel whatever she wants you to feel in that moment. Like sometimes she has imposter syndrome, and I'm just like, please don't, because you are unbelievably talented as a person. Like, please do not think that you need to have imposter syndrome because you do not.
Yeah, because those were two very like the first 2 stories. I remember like reading. I think I read the first one, then like 2 weeks later, I read the second one. I was like, this is completely different,
Mm-hmm.
but I still love it.
And every story was completely different from another story. Like there was the cohesion seemed to be mostly the acceptance of self, but not necessarily the acceptance of the romance, which I really liked. Like there was an overall arc, I thought, which I appreciated
Of
from
getting
that
what you
perspective.
need and figuring out what you need within yourself, like about yourself, and
Exactly.
accepting doubts and stuff. Yeah. So then we have a little faith.
Which is one of my favorites.
I thought it was good. It wasn't my favorite, but
I think what I liked the most was I liked the Arcee. Arcee, I guess that's how you'd say her name. I really like how she was like no bullshit with him. Like he was
yeah.
doing like, because it's basically based on Bollywood. So
Yeah,
like
Ravneer is a Bollywood actor. He's like, what is it? He's only playing like one role, but it's like he's playing a holy man, so he can't really be seen doing other things out and about
right.
because it'll break the illusion. And I was like, that sucks for you.
Right? Because he's like in his like 30s, I think, late 20s, early 30s, I think. So he's like young enough that he wants to be able to go like to have like a quick fuck and walk away and not have to worry about it and not be seen as like, you know, being an ungodly man.
They had the best quote was, "He is more the vampire he's been forced to become off screen, filled with dark thoughts and darker impulses." And I was like, "Ooh, I got chills."
I know, right? Because he was
Oh,
like he was such a twisted character. Like, the Anne Bishop has a book series called the Black Jewels trilogy, or now it's the Black Jewels World Universe or whatever. But she calls it the Twisted Kingdom. Like that's the embodiment of the Twisted Kingdom. Really, it's like that way that that he was feeling in that moment, and the way it was just kind of like kept going up and up and up, and I loved that. Like I love the fact that he was having to work through his shit through their like meetups and fucks, like,
yeah,
and she was basically his therapist.
Yeah, because Anthari, he met her first in a bus terminal in New York City at like 6 a.m. And so basically they become Mile High Club members together.
Uh-huh.
Which I enjoyed. Is it the Mile High Club or the Kilometer High Club? I was like, it's so dumb, but because he's Indian, so they use like the metric. She's just making a joke.
Uh-huh.
So, and yeah, it was just like, and she didn't know who he was, so they would just meet up, and like, he appreciated that they were in it for like the sex and kind of just being together.
Yep.
And she wasn't treating him like a star or like this guru, and I thought it was really sweet.
And no pressure either. Like the relationship wasn't we're gonna end up married, we're gonna end up completely, like it doesn't end in that way. It's like obviously it's a happy ending because it's a romance, but it wasn't the end goal on the story. The story was not that, because it's kind of implied you're gonna get that anyway.
Yeah,
it was more focused on like how you deal with what you are and undoing who you are.
And I also enjoyed that she's a feminist scholar with an English PhD, and he goes, she talks and I don't always understand. And I was like, oh, so I thought that was really, really sweet, because their relationship was multifaceted. It started for one thing, and then it leveled up on so many things. And I forget, did they get discovered? My notes ended.
I don't know. They don't get discovered.
Yeah.
He ends up, the whole Bollywood ends up losing the role, I guess is canceled or whatever, and so he can move on. But like they end up doing, like, they did the whole shady thing for however long they've been.
Yeah.
Shady being literally in the shade, not being bad, just literally at nighttime. Yeah, right. And then, but here's the one thing that I loved was she goes, I think you like it, she accuses when they pull apart to breathe. Being pious in public and a freak with me. The paradigm of the Virgin and the Whore Indian Serial Edition. I thought that was such a strong line.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I really appreciated that, because I don't know a lot about Bollywood. I'll be honest. I haven't watched a lot of Bollywood. But I appreciated as someone who's from America, I understand the soap aspect of it and the reverence of people playing some of these characters, right? Like, there are certain actors that can do no wrong. Like Anthony Gary can do no wrong because people like Luke Spencer, right? And so I get that level of weirdness,
hero worship.
Yeah.
Or they can't separate the actor from the character. You see that a lot.
Oh, Jim Sterling, YouTuber Jim Sterling, he has an episode about that. It's called, like, I can't remember, it's called like the inane person or whatever, and he's talking about the people that were angry that like Abby from The Last of Us had strong arms and that wasn't realistic or whatever, and all the death threats and stuff they got. So I get it. Like, you can get it from that level. Like, you understand, if you're on social media, you understand exactly what he's going through, though, because it's like TMZ times like 10,000 in his world.
Yeah. And I feel like Bollywood, it's a lot more intense than we realize, because I don't know what their laws are like. I know in Los Angeles they have some stricter laws. I know in the UK they have like pretty strict laws because it's problematic. But again, I don't know in Bollywood like how in depth they go and how hard they go. And it can really, we see it in Hollywood, in other big film industries. And I know Bollywood's had problems with this too, where actors can't take it and they complete suicide, and like the pressure and all of that. So it's good that he at least had this out and he got out of that character. But like we all understand that, we have all seen that stress and that pressure on people to be that perfect image that the public sees them in. And now
when Disney used to do that all the time when we were growing up, right? Like that was whole Disney's thing. Like, think about Miley Cyrus. Like,
yeah.
ignoring the problematics of her for the moment. Just she had to be that straight-laced girl until she was out of the contract, or you're going to end up losing your job or whatever. They're going to end up
And you're gonna
firing
get
you.
you're gonna get sued. You're broken contract. That's why when people were like she was freaking out, it's like she can finally be herself. We don't know if this was her. Like
Right.
the previous her could have not been her. But yeah.
And I got that feeling with him, that
Yeah.
that erasure of who he was because of who he played.
Yeah. He wasn't a person. He was a guru now. He was the character. He was nobody else except for when he was with her, he could be himself.
And that's why it was one of my favorites, was because I think as women we can understand that because we're used to having to play how many different roles in our life. Like you can only be one thing for one person. You cannot be multifaceted.
Yeah.
So I understood that really a lot. And I appreciated the aspect of breaking from that. Literally like breaking out of it.
And I like that it was for once the man in that role again. Like you feel like it would normally be the woman in that role and the man would save her, but it was interesting to see it as the man was the person who needed to like deal with breaking out of like what society thought he was. And the woman, instead of like saving him, just kind of lets him be himself. And I think that would be more interesting to see, even role reversals. Like say the woman's trying to break out of the shell and the guy's like, you can just be yourself with me.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely, I think that's another thing that like the author does really well. She takes those tropes and just subverts them. Easy
And
for me to
twist
say.
them.
Yeah, and she creates a whole new landscape with those little twists here and there, which is why I wanted someone to read her work so much, because I thought that people were missing out by not seeing the depth she offers with what she writes. Everything she writes has such strong point to it. It's like you see exactly the world she's creating just by, and you can visualize it. Sometimes when you read, you can't always visualize. You're visualizing the sketches of it, but you're not visualizing everything. But you can see him and you can see her and you can see them in the dark rooms and the conversations they have, and when she leaves and he leaves, and you can see how they work.
Yeah, it was really nice. Then we have our sci-fi one.
Yes.
A sort of fairy tale.
Yeah.
So we have Crate, and she's an Indian. I guess she's poisonous, and she refers to herself as a poison dart frog, so people can't touch her at all. So,
and like she doesn't secrete it, and it doesn't manifest in her sweat or her spit or her cum, according to my notes here from the book. She is just poison. Every inch of her is toxic. They're called a Bishkona, I think is how you'd say it. And it's an Indian mythology.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, like I think, well, I don't know if it's entirely Indian, but I think that's where she got the basis of it. Because if you read the book, you can, and I mean, if you read the story, you can see where he went to all these places that had deep Indian influence. That's pretty much like the one thing running through most of these stories is her Indian, because I think again it's where the author feels secure in knowledge of her culture.
Yeah.
But like if you read it, yeah, because it's like they talk about like going to like Nepal and India and all these other places to find.
And I think it's based back in the U.S. too. I think that's where they are.
Yeah, it's somewhere in was it the South? I think it was maybe Louisiana.
Was there? No, I think there was a.
Oh, he was from Louisiana. That's what it was.
Yeah, I think they're in the desert or somewhere.
Yeah.
But they're like a special forces kind of misfit group, and
very X-Men Avengers type.
Yeah. And then so she trains, and then Archer, her like kind of love, but they couldn't really do anything because she's poison, which says a lot. But he's coming back, and so basically, she's like, why did he come back? I forget. He had been gone, I think, for like years.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, because if you remember, she kissed him and he got really sick and he had to go away. Yeah. And he had to heal. It took him a long, long time to heal.
Yeah. So there's nice like fighting scenes so when they get back together, because they tell her, because they're like, she's like, I gotta go get my shit together. I really just love that. She's like, what is it? 3 hours from now, 3 hours to get her shit together, 3 hours to arm herself against his copper eyes, his perpetually flirtatious grin and the broad length of his beautiful body. I was like, you're just like, I'm gonna go mentally prepare myself.
Uh-huh.
Like go do some religious work, go talk to whatever God I need to talk to, maybe have some drinks. I don't know, but whatever she needed to do.
Yes. And that was what I liked about Ro was very self-assured as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
she was vulnerable in this, but like you could tell with her boss and with, even her other fellow
X-Men.
yeah. You could definitely tell, yeah, because like it's obviously like that's you can see the influence, but like you can tell that she's very
good at her job. She knows what she's doing, but with relationships is like the one area she's very, because she is poison. She's like, I can't do anything. I can't, like so anxious and wrapped up because she'll hurt whoever she likes.
it reminded me a lot of, in my notes I said hi Rogue. It reminded me a lot of Rogue.
When she kisses the ice kid.
Yeah.
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 Iceman, I guess his name is, but yeah.
Or even like when she touches Wolverine in the first movie, like you can see, and so you get the feeling that that Ro has got that ability of knowing that she can't get anything done even though she needs to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she obviously loves him, and she cares about her team, and she cares about doing things, but she keeps herself in a box because she knows she can literally touch them and kill them. There's no way she can even like say, get a hug from someone when she needs it. She doesn't have that human contact that she obviously very much needs.
Yeah, and I did enjoy they showed his side as well, like seeing her before he talks to her and talking about so still so untouchable, except you did touch her, you did hold her, you did kiss her, and it damn near killed you.
Yep.
I was just like, yes. And I found it. It's 4 years. He had been gone 4 years. So,
yeah. I think it took like, what was it, like 18 months or something just to get like basically out of the coma, and then he went and traveled the world trying to find solutions to their problem because he wasn't giving up on her. And I so love that about this piece because like I understand her in many ways because I have the same instincts of when I get hurt but moreover, when I hurt someone, I shut down because I feel such deep guilt over doing that to someone I love with such depth that it makes me freeze off because I don't want to do that again. Like I would rather them hate me rather than me hurt them knowingly again, or especially unknowingly. But like, if I know I can do something to hurt someone and I've done it, you feel that immense guilt. And I understood that about Ro. And I also understood how David wanted to help take care of her, right? Like he wanted to make her strong and make her feel complete. Loved. Yeah, and complete, like within herself. Not even like for him, just for her to love herself and to accept herself.
Yeah. I really appreciate it because like he like they're meeting, like I think they're in their kitchen, and so she asks, why are you asking why when you know? She demands, because I almost killed you once and the next time I might succeed. And he responds, that means there's gonna be a next time. He points out as gently as he can. You pushed me away, shoved me clear across the world, but you never let me go, did you? And you're just like, he knows you still like him. So,
and he knows that connection was so deep. Like, and I love his confidence too. They're really good confidence match, I think.
Oh yeah. I did enjoy that, like what did he find? Tea. He has to drink this tea, and it basically he has to drink it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And basically so he can touch her. No one else can touch her, but he can.
Mm-hmm.
So
because he actually went and found all the like the sisters and like he went and did all the legwork and the research to let her know and to give her the chance to find ways of finding her roots by going back and finding solutions.
Yeah. And I did like her response when he tells her about it. They just gave you the secret of Emerita, which is the counteragent, to you, a guy off the streets, an American, and I was just like, that shade.
Yep.
But he ends up, you know, they end up going ham. So, and it ends with like an "I love you," and he like basically declares himself to her. I thought it was really sweet.
He, like in the story, I like the fact that he was playing more of the feminine role rather than the masculine role. I appreciate that because I think it really balanced out her aggressiveness.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like negatively to the listeners. I don't mean that like she was just really aggressive because that's what she had to be. She was literally trained to be an assassin. Like that was her job. So she didn't know how to be vulnerable and weak and not be a different kind of toxic.
And if she, like the one time she wasn't, he almost died. Like that's the thing. Like she tried to withstand him, but when he tried to kiss her, she almost killed him. So she's like, I can't be vulnerable. I can't be this kind of feminine. I have to be strong. I have to be aggressive and push people away from my personal space. And
to save them.
Yes. And I like that she climbs into his lap and like demands that he kisses her and like kiss me back. And you're just like, yes, girl, use that aggression to get what you want, to show you can be aggressive and vulnerable at the same time. I loved it. I love that aspect.
This is like, I love the story so much. I thought it was like a really strong telling of what was going on.
Yeah.
Of romance, like when you have to like compromise and find middle points even when you don't want to or how you can. Sometimes it takes the other person doing the work to help you get there.
Yeah. It was really sweet. Which is not my favorite. I know it's your favorite, it's just not my favorite.
No, but I liked the X-Men type, you know, like I kind of felt like she was reminding me a lot of like Jessica Jones as well.
Yes, very like she's been broken, so she's not gonna show you that she's actually like one of those porcelain dolls who's been painted back together.
Exactly. And you can definitely feel it in her and the way she's like so brittle at times.
And like short with people. She's like short and yeah, and she hides the brittleness with aggression and snark and yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a really strong that was a really strong commentary on the world around us too. How women can actually break down and have someone there to catch them when they do.
Yeah.
You don't always find that nowadays.
No, that was a different kind of story.
Okay, so thanks for listening to the first part. Part 2 will be out next week. And I hope you'll come back because I'm having fun having guests. If you guys want to appear on the show, if you guys want to see and write and talk and do all this kind of stuff with me, let me know. You can find me on Twitter at Damsels Podcast. You can also find me on Instagram, which I kind of forget I have. Same with Facebook. Both also Damsels Podcast. My email is damselspodcast@gmail.com. Just, put something so I know what you're asking about and we'll discuss. I would love to have my listeners as guests. It's pretty cool getting to interact with you guys. We also have a Patreon at patreon.com/damselspodcast. I seriously try to make this as easy as I could. And I'm really looking forward to next week and giving you guys the conclusion of the two-parter. Again, I'm kind of awesomely glad that we had this. And just thank you guys for listening. If you guys want to rate and review the podcast on iTunes, that'd be great. I'm really happy when I see that, and I'm going to start reading the reviews coming up in the next couple episodes. So if you guys want to get on that, that would be great. See you next week, or rather, converse with you next week. Bye!